if we are feeling happy right now, we should maintain that happiness. If we don't maintain that happiness, your mind will get overwhelmed by sadness. Everything is impermanent, nothing is permanent. We crave for forms, we need the things that we see, we need the things that we hear, we need the things that we smell. Now, these days, we can't live without eating what we ate before. We can't go to restaurants that we went before. We can't meet our loved ones. So, if you miss someone, think one day, at least at the death, you will have to leave that person and go. So some people quarrel, some people fight, some people engage in sexual misconduct, people steal, people kill, people tell lies, people take alcohol and drugs, people gossip. So all these things happens because of ignorance. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, I would like to first of all pay homage to my teacher, to our Lokaswamin Wahanse, to most venerable Avasarai Kiribanggoda Jnanananda Mahathera. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, you might be missing the monks who have been teaching you the Dhamma, and I might be new for y'all, so it might take some time to get adjusted to the way I preach and the topics that I use to pass the message of the Supreme Buddha to the devotees. So anyway, we are trying to fulfill a gap, fulfill a need in a time that is really essential for the people. In a time period where people are locked down, and also in a time period where people are suffering with loneliness, suffering from loneliness, then people are worrying about their friends and families. Some would be worrying about their relatives, some would be worrying about their friends. Then some people might be having problems, might be having financial problems, financial issues. So might not be able to run their business as usual. The lifestyle would have changed. And then even before the coronavirus affected us, people had problems. People went through problems. People had enough problems in their lives. People had to pay a lot of bills at the end of the month. People have to fulfill a lot of needs in their lives. Then they have a lot of responsibilities and commitments. So in a time period where we were not affected by a coronavirus, we were not able to live 100%, we were not able to live happily. Then and there, yet we had problems. Didn't we? Didn't we had problems? Didn't we go through hard times in lives? We went through. So now those problems are also there. And the coronavirus, whatever the problems came because of the coronavirus is also there. And now it's like the simile. The best simile that I can preach you is the simile that was taught to Pase Nadi Kosala. to King Pasenadi Kosala. Once when Pasenadi Kosala, I think you all know who's Pasenadi Kosala, King Pasenadi Kosala, he was the king for the kingdom of Kosala. And Pasenadi Kosala, he was very powerful, and he got together with Queen Mallika and offered amazing dana, a very rare dana offering to the Buddha and the Sangha. So Pasenadi Kosala, King Pasenadi Kosala once came to meet the Buddha, I think in the middle of the day. Then the Blessed One asked, "Dear King, you have come to meet the Blessed One." Then the Blessed One said, Dear King, what do you think? If a huge rock is rolling let's take from the north, from north. Now, if you are in Melbourne or Sydney or Perth or Adelaide, think the nearest province. Forget about the north. Think the nearest province from the northern side. Okay, a rock is rolling. Now, BBC News and all the news stations are giving you updates. Okay, in 10 minutes it will reach this place. In 5 minutes it will reach this place. In 4 minutes it will reach this place. Now it's passing this place. Now you are getting updates through all your electronic gadgets that you have. You are getting updates now through all the applications that you use. Now what can you do? Run to the southern side or to the eastern side? No, you can't run like that. Why? The Blessed One said, "Dear King, now one rock is rolling from the north, from the eastern side, from the southern, then from the west. From all the four directions, rocks are moving at one speed, at one time. A huge rock. Now rolling. What can you do?" Now, Blessed One asked this question from a king who has authority over a kingdom, can fight with another kingdom and take over that kingdom as well. He had fights with Ajasattha. So, then imagine now, four rocks are moving towards you. Four rocks are moving towards you. So when 4 rocks are moving towards you, what can you do now? Then Pasenadi Kosala said, King Pasenadi Kosala said, "Blessed One, what else to do other than practicing what Blessed One has said? What else can be done other than practicing loving kindness to overcome hatred? What else to practice other than detachment, other than getting attached to people? Because we have to leave the world, because these 4 rocks are nothing else, it's old age and death. When 4 rocks are moving towards you, the final thing that will happen to you is you will die. You will die. Then the king said, "Blessed One, nothing else to be done other than developing the mind, to face death with a confident mind. Nothing else to be done other than making the assurance for our next life. Nothing else can be done other than not coming to a life like this again. Not coming and not receiving a birth like this again. Nothing else could be done. Practicing patience." So then Blessed One said, "It is, dear King, that is what you should practice. Not even you, your retinue, your soldiers, your householders, everybody in your kingdom, everybody in this world, they should practice the Dhamma." That was realized by a Buddha. It was a Buddha who realized that loving kindness should be practiced to overcome hatred. To overcome hatred, we should develop loving kindness. So that is a truth that prevails and exists in this world. When you try to overcome hatred by the power of hatred, problems will increase. Problems will never end. Problems will never cease. So, if anyone wants to overcome hatred, what they have to finally develop is loving kindness. So when they practice the impermanence, when they understand the impermanence nature, when they are aware of karma. Now, for an example, if someone knows the danger of getting angry. Now, I remember when Queen Mallika went to the Blessed One, Queen Mallika said, Blessed One, some women are ugly, but they are very rich and they are very powerful. So the reason some women are ugly is they have got angry for a small reason. The reason they are rich is they have given alms food in previous lives. The reason they are influential, like Queen Mallika, she is influential, that's because she has not been jealous of others. Now, this is the true nature of the karma. Now, we see the same nature, not within Mallika. If you look at the world, we can see that nature. There's a variation among human beings. So, the variation is depending on the karma. So, when you have a good knowledge about karma, that knowledge of having that knowledge of being aware of the true nature of karma and how karma give results through the Buddha's teachings, like following suttas like Chula Kama Vibhanga Sutta. Chula Kama Vibhanga Sutta, when we follow suttas like that, especially by learning Dhammapada stanzas and from the stories, the background stories from the Dhammapada stanzas, then from the Jataka stories, we can understand. We will have a chance to understand the value of being aware of the true nature of our life and how karma decides a person's life. How karma helps us. The awareness of karma helps us to control our body, speech and mind. The awareness of karma, having the knowledge of karma, helps us to control the body, speech and mind. So, when you learn the Buddha's teachings from various topics, from various suttas, you will be able to control the body, speech and mind. So mind is chief. Mind is chief for everything that we say and do. So today, as for the first sermon that I'm doing for y'all, especially for this group, and since this is the Vesak month, where Buddha became, where in the month the Blessed One was born, in the month the Blessed One became a Samma Sambuddha, the Blessed One attained the Mahaparinibbana. So, on this month, on the Vesak full moon Poya day, the Blessed One realized the true process, the real process of our life. Even as a human being, or as an animal, or as a demon, or as a ghost, or as a divine being, or as a Brahma. The life that we are spending is just one part in our samsara. It's just one stage in our samsara. It's just in human world for a time period, for some particular time period. So once this lifespan is over, then there is a place for us to go. If we have not attained Nibbana, there is a place for us to go. So that once you are born there, then again, if in this life, if our relatives are human beings, in next life our relatives could be animals. In this life our relatives could be humans, in next life it could be creatures. Very rarely we might have divinely beings. Our relatives could be divine beings. So mostly people are born in places that are not suitable to be born. Remember, most of the time people are born in places that are not suitable to be born. So once we are born in an unsuitable place, we don't get the suitable things for our lives. The suitable things for our lives is kindness, compassion, being generous, being mindful, being grateful. So then being virtuous, seeing good in others, meditative, having a mind to help others, patience, karuna, then rejoicing in others' development. That is the opposite of jealousy. So we get to learn these things once we are born in a right place. You call it paṭiccasamuppāda. Paṭiccasamuppāda vāsoca. That is residing in a suitable locality. So only if we reside in a suitable locality, we will hear the Dhamma again. But if we get a birth in a place we don't hear Dhamma at all, then forget about these qualities, at least to drive a vehicle in animal world, in a ghost world, at least to have a house. The ghost world was compared to a tree. There is no leaves. If I'm not mistaken, this Dhamma quote, this is preached in the Mahasihanada Sutta. In the Mahasihanada Sutta, the human world is like a man who was exhausted and who was tired, who was thirsty. A man who was coming along the road, he gets a tree that has a lot of foliages and leaves. So he goes under that tree and sits and he rests. He rests. So human world is like a tree with foliages and a lot of leaves, but ghost world is not like a tree. Then animal world is not like a tree that has shade. I think it's like a charcoal pit. So, meritorious Dhamma friends, we should understand that we are spending a life that is extremely precious and something that was obtained by practicing so much meritorious deeds in past lives. Now think of your life, think of this life, how much we are struggling to protect the 5 precepts, how much we are struggling to offer a dana, how much we are struggling to meet the Sangha, how difficult it is to set up a monastery and to go to a monastery and then learn Dhamma, how difficult it is to find time to meditate at least 2-3 hours a day, how difficult it is for us to concentrate on a Dhamma sermon continuously without giving up paying attention to the Dhamma sermon. So even in this life, we find so difficult to make the assurance for our next life. So just imagine how much we would have struggled in past lives to obtain a human life like this, to be born in a time period where the Buddha's teachings are widely spoken. How much we would have struggled in past lives. So all those struggling to get a life like this, all the struggling that we do in this life will be wasted if we do not practice this Dhamma continuously. Some people, they just give up because the monks have gone back to Sri Lanka. They give up the monastery because monks went back to Sri Lanka. Remember, there was a famine, there was a drought in Sri Lanka many years back. Many hundred years ago, there was a big drought in Sri Lanka. You call it paṭiccasamuppāda. Then, during that time even, monks left places. There was sometimes in Sri Lanka, monks went from Sri Lanka to India. And once the drought was over, they came back to Sri Lanka. And then they started propagating Dhamma again. Imagine if all those monks remain in Sri Lanka and if they died, what would we have today? I would not be preaching Dhamma today. So this lineage of Sangha came throughout this time after the Buddha's passing away. It's almost 2,600 years. That's because the monks have been protecting this Dhamma in great difficulties. So it was God Sakka who told the monks, okay, get into at least to a plank. Get onto a plank. I will help you all to get back to India. Get to India. And then the monks came back to Sri Lanka. Monks have compassion. Out of compassion, they came back to Sri Lanka. Out of compassion, our teacher took them back to Sri Lanka. Out of compassion, when the time comes, they will come back to Australia. So, so just because of any external matters that is not relevant to our lives, we should not give up practicing Dhamma. Because all of us, we all have problems. Now, on this Vesak month, it's very special. The Buddha became a Samma Sambuddha. The day the Blessed One became a Samma Sambuddha, realized the true process that human beings go through. Now this process is, see, now once we are born, the final gift we have received is the death. The final gift that we have received is death. That is totally unpredictable and unavoidable. So, and then aging, then death, then sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. So, birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, all these things we got through birth. So, Buddha realized the reason for death, the reason for old age, the reason for sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, the reason is birth. It is because of birth we are suffering, not because of others. Then Buddha, on the Vesak full moon Poya day, he realized that the reason for birth is arranging of karma. Karma is arranged in three ways. Karma is arranged for a birth in sense sphere existence. Karma is arranged for a birth in form sense sphere existence. And karma is arranged for a birth in formless sphere existence. So, Kama Bhava, Rupa Bhava, Arupa Bhava. Now we are in Kama Bhava. Since our karma was accumulated to be resulted in human world, we are born in a human world now. That was realized by a Buddha. And that is not a personal idea of a Buddha, that is something that happens to human beings. So, beings are born due to accumulating of karma. So, when karma is totally abandoned, birth is abandoned. Then, dear Dhamma friends, the Blessed One understood the reason for accumulation of karma. Now, we don't understand why do we accumulate karma, but the Blessed One realized that people cling to things. Now, when we see things, when we hear things, like what we understand is when we see something, we need it. That's all we understand. If we hear something pleasant, we may need it. We will like it, and we will work hard to get that. And if we are not happy with that, we will get something else. But see the difference, the difference, how Buddha understand things and how Buddha saw things. So the reason is, now for an example, now imagine a person sees something. Now he can't afford it. What happens? He steals. Now a person who does not know the value of not doing bad karma, he will steal. And then he won't know that the stealing will affect me throughout the samsara. So he doesn't know about the upcoming births. He knows only about this life, just to overcome his hunger. So he steals. Why does he steal? He saw something first. Then he cling to that. What did he cling? He cling to sensual pleasures. And then he stole it. Then the moment he steal it, he accumulates a karma. Then that karma gives him a birth. Then once he is born, what happens? See what happens to people. Once he is born again in the human world, his wealth gets stolen by others. Now what happens? Now he works hard. Now he has a degree, but he is struggling hard to save his money. He has a good business. He knows how to earn money, but his money gets stolen by others. Managers or workers will steal. But now he is struggling. Now he is checking the horoscope. He is going to fortune tellers. But then he has not realized that it's because of a karma or it's because of the danger of samsara. But a Buddha realized the reason for these things. Then, clinging to sensual pleasures. So people cling in four ways. Not even people, human beings, all beings. Then people cling to wrong views. People think that people have wrong views. Then People cling to wrong disciplinary rules and observances. Like some people, they just sink in water, they cover their body with dust, and then they worship just ordinary trees and do offerings for trees. Like Bodhi tree is very special. Bodhi trees, the name of the Bodhi tree is Asattu tree. But then after Buddha became Samma Sambuddha, after the Bodhisattva became a Samma Sambuddha, Buddha called that tree as the Bodhi tree because that under that tree, the Bodhisattva realized the Four Noble Truths. Bodhi means enlightenment. Then clinging to wrong concept of self, that means thinking that this is me, mine, under my control. So all these things happens in a undeveloped person's mind and who does not know the Buddha's teachings. Then clinging takes place. So once we cling to something, then we accumulate karma. Then why do we cling? Now we see something, then we cling. Why do we cling? Because of craving. Because of craving we cling. Then, Blessed One, tanha paccaya upadana. Upadana paccaya bhava. Bhava paccaya jati. Jati paccaya jara marana. Soka parideva. That is in Pali. Then craving. Now why do we crave for things? Now we crave for forms. We need the things that we see. We need the things that we hear. We need the things that we smell. Now these days we can't live without eating what we ate before. We can't go to restaurants that we went before. We can't meet our loved ones. Who are our loved ones? You all only know about your loved ones. Then, so you all might be missing your friends. So then now people are waiting to meet each other. Why? Because of craving. If there's no craving, if the ones who wanted to live a peaceful life, they would be thinking, it's amazing, it's good that I had to go through a time like this. Now I have time to meditate. Now I have time to observe higher precepts. Now I am peaceful. I don't have all this extra work now. Even now, sometimes when you don't meet your friends get angry. Now even if you can't, now you can't meet them at all. So by nature supported you now to practice Dhamma even. So the amazing part in a Buddha Sasana is, even if people are going through a bad time, a hard time, yet there is something for the Buddha's disciples to practice. Any bad message can be taken as a good message. For an example, if you are dying, if you know that we are dying soon, we can put more effort to practice Dhamma. So we are so fortunate to hear the Buddha's teachings and to be disciples of the Buddha and to be born in a suitable place to hear suitable things that is suitable for human being. Then why do we crave for things? Because we feel. Vedana paccaya tanha. We feel things. We feel pleasant things, we feel unpleasant things, we feel pleasant, unpleasant. We feel pleasant things, we feel unpleasant things, and we feel neither pleasant, neither unpleasant. Neutral feelings. So when we feel pleasant things, we get attached. When we feel unpleasant things, we get opposed. That means we get angry, we get fed up. And neither pleasant, neither unpleasant, we get deluded. Then we don't know what to do actually. We can't take proper decisions in life when we are deluded. People cry, lament, and grieve, and regret. Then why do we feel things? Now you might be going through you might feel lonely. So why do we feel loneliness? Why do we feel sad? Now we should find out, why do we feel sad? If you are feeling happy, we should find out why I'm feeling happy. Because if we are feeling happy right now, we should maintain that happiness. What should we do? We should maintain that happiness. If we don't maintain that happiness, your mind will get overwhelmed by sadness. So do we do that? Now tell me honestly, now you are going through a peaceful and happy time. Imagine you are happy right now. Maybe through a meditation or maybe by thinking of a good person, you are happy right now. But did you ever thought of practicing mindfulness to maintain that happiness? Now, if you are trying to maintain this happiness by seeking a support from an external person, could be you are expecting your mother to speak nicely, you could be if you are expecting your father or your life partners or your friends to speak nicely to you and be obedient to you always, and if you are trying to expect happiness in those ways, understand it's not possible. Because praise and blame are both existing in this world. We all have to go through vicissitudes in life. Even Buddha did not escape from praise and blame. Even Buddha had to go through praise and blame, but then his mind was not affected. He kept his mind unaffected. Even when he was praised, he did not get intoxicated. Even when he was blamed, he was not affected. He did not get angry. Why? He had a mind like a lotus leaf that is untouched. Blessed One, our Gautama Buddha, had a mind like a lotus leaf that is untouched. And the Blessed One's mind was like a net that is wind blowing through a net. Imagine there's a net. Through that net, wind can go through the net. So wind does not get stuck in that net. So the Blessed One's mind is like a mind that wind does not get stuck when wind passes through a net. So we went for refuge to such a great Buddha. We took refuge in such a great Dhamma. We took refuge in the great Sangha who dedicated their lives to the Buddha's teachings. So we should maintain our happiness. So to maintain our happiness, we should maintain by thinking wisely, by practicing mindfulness and by being mindful of what you are doing and by thinking the good deeds that you have done and by cultivating wholesome thoughts in your mind, then living with loving kindness, living with compassion towards all living beings, and by thinking the Buddha's great qualities, accepting forgiveness. Now people might do bad things, the people around you might do mistakes, so they might forgive you, so you should be able to forgive them and live happily. So then feeling arises due to contact. What is contact? Contact is passa paccaya vedana. Now what is contact? Contact is combination of three things. Now remember, we feel through the eye, we feel through the ear, we feel through the nose, we feel through the tongue, we feel through the body and the mind. So contact takes place in the eye. How? Eye, then eye sees forms, then there is something called consciousness. Now dead bodies don't have consciousness because dead bodies, even the eye is open of a dead body, the eye can't see things because the consciousness is not there. The vijnana is not there. Vijnana has conceived maybe in a mother's womb or somewhere else in another world, in another place. It could be in the divine world. So so with the help of consciousness, what happens when you see things, the eye will see things. From the eye, when you see things with the help of consciousness, you will have the ability to see things. So then when you see things from your eye, you will feel. If you are seeing something pleasant, you will feel happy. If you are seeing something unpleasant, you will feel unhappy. If you are seeing something neither pleasant, neither unpleasant, then you will have a neutral feeling. So then, now what happens? Now sometimes you might be thinking something happened in the past. Maybe someone would have cheated you, or scolded you, or irritated you, or would have criticized you, or would have revealed a secret that you have told. And then something really personal to you would have gone to the public. Then that's because of using this mass media. Being irresponsible and being addicted to this mass media, using these social media platforms, people regret later. So that is due to their own mistakes. So even if you have done mistakes in the past, yet if we can change the contact, we can change the feelings. If we can change the contact, we can change the feelings. So imagine now you are feeling bad. due to an incident happened in the past. So now, right now, if you are feeling bad, the reason is you are recollecting something from your mind. So from your mind, you are thinking something unpleasant. Now your mind, and you are thinking a thought that is unpleasant. Then the consciousness will create, with the help of consciousness, mind, then the thought in the mind, and with the help of the consciousness, with the combination of these three things, you will feel something unpleasant. Then immediately what should you do? You should change the contact. You should stop paying attention to that particular thought and start thinking something else. When you start thinking something else, for an example, start thinking the Buddha's qualities, or maybe a good deed that you have done, or maybe you change the place that you are staying and stop paying attention to that. And if you keep on, and you try to think the danger of thinking that thought and try to forget that thought. So when you try to do, when you change the contact, feelings changes. So if you miss someone, don't think that person. So if you miss someone, think one day, at least at the death, you will have to leave that person and go. So we should know that everything is impermanent, nothing is permanent. So when we know that things are impermanent, we won't cling to things, we won't miss anything. We won't feel lonely, because we know that all of us are going through all of us are having lives that are impermanent and not under our control. So things are very temporary. What the problem is, we think that things would remain for a long time, and it has been rooted in our minds, the idea that things would remain for a long time. Things will last for a long time. So these wrong views are rooted in our minds. So we should cut off those roots by the knowledge of the impermanence nature. If something is impermanent, that is giving us suffering. And if something is impermanent, if something is subjected to suffering, that is not under our control. So why should we miss such people? Why should we get sad because of such things? So we should be happy that it's good that we were not attached to such things that are impermanent, subjected to suffering, and not under our control. So feeling arises due to contact. And contact take place in the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So through the six sense faculties, we salayatana paccaya passo. Through the six sense faculties, we feel things. Contact take places in the six sense faculties. Then the six sense faculties are because of name and, you call it name and form. You can call it mentality and materiality. So if we categorize them like mentality, so mentality means feelings are there, perception, volition, cetana, contact, and manasikara, attention. So this is called mentality. So in the eye, all these things are happening in the eye. And then this body, this eye is made with four great elements, that is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. So this body is made with solid things, and with water, heat, and air. So eye, nose, body, tongue, it's made with four great elements. Even the eye is blue color, or whether people have beautiful eyes or whatever the eyes, it's all made with four great elements. How beautiful it is! The eyes are always covered with tears, with dust, and if you see the real eye, the eye is very bigger than what we see. What we see is just 25% of the eye. If someone sees the full eye, we will not look at people. So what we see is a delusion. So the eye is made with name and form. So with the help of with the five things and with the four great elements. So then, how is this? What is the reason for the six sense faculties? The six sense faculties are because of consciousness. Vijnana paccaya nama rupang. So consciousness. Because of consciousness, you can cognize things. The eye gets to know forms. The ear gets to know sounds. The nose gets to know smells. So through the nose, you can't see things. So it's because of consciousness you cognize things. So, and then the reason for consciousness is formations. And then the reason for formation is avijja. So, avijja means not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Now, imagine, without knowing the Four Noble Truths, we are looking at the world. We are dealing with others. We are reacting with others. We are taking decisions without knowing the Four Noble Truths. Then what happens? So, we won't take wise decisions. We won't take decisions that are good for us and good for others. We won't take decisions. We won't take decisions that will lead us to a divine world. We won't take decisions that will help us to eradicate anger. We won't take decisions. We won't react in a way. We won't think in a way that we will be able to calm our mind. In a way that we would be able to calm our minds. And when we do not know the Four Noble Truths, so avijja paccaya sankhara. Avijja means not knowing the Four Noble Truths. So vijja means knowing the Four Noble Truths, are aware of the Four Noble Truths. So remember, when we live this human life, we talk with people, we see things, then we react. So we think, we make decisions, and we dedicate our lives sometimes. So some people quarrel, some people fight, some people engage in sexual misconduct, people steal, people kill, people tell lies, people take alcohol and drugs, people gossip. So all these things happens because of ignorance. Not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Now see the advantage when you are aware of the Four Noble Truths. When you are aware of the Four Noble Truths, the advantage is you will, all this process like formations, consciousness, then mentality and materiality, and then the six sense faculties, then contact, feeling. So what happens? The sense faculties will work. You will guard the sense faculties when you know the Four Noble Truths. You will be able to control the sense faculties, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, when you know the Four Noble Truths. You will be able to control your consciousness. You will be able to abandon, you will be able to eradicate the consciousness, understand consciousness when you know the Four Noble Truths. And you will be able to eradicate the karma when you know the Four Noble Truths. You will not cling when you know the Four Noble Truths. You will not crave for things when you know the Four Noble Truths. Then when you know the Four Noble Truths, what happens? The opposite of what I taught will happen. What happens? Then what happens? Then through the entire cessation of ignorance, formation ceases. Sankhara ceases. Through the cessation of formation, consciousness ceases. Through the cessation of consciousness, mentality and materiality cease. Through the cessation of mentality and materiality, the six sense bases ceases. The six sense faculty ceases. Through the cessation of the six sense bases, contact ceases. Through the cessation of contact, feeling ceases. Now feeling ceases means in this life we will feel things. Now imagine if you attain Nibbana in this life, still you will feel things, but you won't get attached to what you feel. And after you attain the Mahaparinibbana, after you, once the final passing away is done, no more existence. So then through the cessation of craving, clinging ceases. Through the cessation of clinging, the arranging of karma ceases. Through the cessation of the arranging of karma, birth ceases. Now this is the Buddha's realization. That's why I have to read the book. Through the cessation of birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair ceases. Thus, this is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Now what do you think? So we should practice paṭiccasamuppāda. We should recollect paṭiccasamuppāda every day as a stanza. So we can early morning when you wake up, we can recollect the process of our life, how our life is being controlled and how our life is being running without knowing the cause and effect theory. You call it the cause and effect theory. So before you go to sleep, in the daytime, at least 3 times a day, we should remember that there's a cause and effect theory that we are undergoing. There's a cause and effect theory which human beings and all the beings are undergoing. So paṭiccasamuppāda is something, the cause and effect theory, you call it dependent origination, is something that was realized by a Buddha on a Vesak full moon poet day. So today we heard this sermon from from the Buddha's realization, from a realization of a Buddha. So if you if you like to read more about dependent origination, you can go to the book Samyutta Nikaya, and then you can find for dependent origination suttas and learn more about dependent origination. So I think afterwards we can go for a short Dhamma discussion and clarify the doubts, and then go for a meditation and conclude the program. So now you can, so by learning this sermon, by learning the dependent origination today, may all of us have the opportunity to overcome the mass of suffering forever and attain the blissful state of Nibbana in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. So I hope to meet you again. Let's meet again after a short break of maybe like 5-10 minutes, and we'll take about 10 minutes and then meet again with the Dhamma discussion, and also to do the meditation.